Right, this is a piece of copper which is 20mm in diameter, and we've put score marks on it to just simulate the discs which are going to be cut. This is the Spectral MM Milling Machine, which has been converted to have an end mill for putting slots into the copper pieces. The end mill is a 10mm 3-flute end mill, and the shank type is a Weldon type fitting. Okay, the display and controls here show Y and Z axis. The Z axis is the vertical axis, where the Y axis is the travel axis. Towards the bottom section of the control panel here, we've got the control for the feed rate and the RPM. The RPM is the speed of the cutter. At the moment we've got that set at 2,500 RPM, but it can be increased or decreased to suit the size of cutter and to suit the type of material that's being cut. The feed rate is the rate of traverse of the Y axis, and that is set at the moment at the minimum of 100, which is a good setting to start off with a new product, but it can be increased or decreased, and that can be done whilst the machine is in operation. This is the holder for the cutter. The cutter is a 10mm diameter cutter with a Weldon type notch fixing. So the cutter slides into there, and then it is located and fixed in place with this cross screw. Other diameter cutters can be used in there, providing the shank is a 10mm diameter. The machine has one traverse axis, which is the Y axis. There is no traverse axis for X, but the position of the vise can be adjusted by undoing these 4 location screws, and then there is a small amount of adjustment on the X axis available. Okay, so now we're going to locate the piece into the machine and show how to set the machine up for cutting a slot through this piece here. So we place the workpiece inside the vise, and before clamping we just bring the cutter down on the Z axis so that it is just approximately touching the top there. We do this by switching on to the Z axis so it lights up, and then we can bring the Z axis down with rapid feed and slow feed. Be careful with rapid feed because you do not want to do any damage or pinch fingers, etc. So we just bring the rapid feed down, and then we go on to slow feed until the cutter is just touching the top of the workpiece. We now bring the workpiece back up against the stop, and we make sure that the workpiece is held down and is fully clamped. Okay. Then with the Z axis we now bring the cutter down to the required depth, and in this case, as this piece is 20mm, we'll bring the cutter down to 10mm, so that it is a 10mm depth slot. Yep. So we zero the setting there, and then we bring the cutter down on the Z axis until we've got a reading of 10. Yeah. So before starting to cut, we've now got our depth, and we then just go back to the Y axis and we ensure that it is set to 0. In that way, when the cutter is finished, or when the machine is finished, it will traverse back to that 0 spot. Okay, we're now ready to machine the part in there. Before the machine will operate, the lid has to be pulled down because there is a safety switch on the side. We lower the lid. Okay, and we start the machine. Part of the feed on the y-axis is slightly rapid. Once it's into the cut, then the feed rate actually slows down. This is the feed rate. And whilst the machine's in operation, that feed rate can be varied. So at the moment I'm reducing it. That is down to the minimum of 100, or the feed rate can be increased. And there we can see that the feed rate is actually working on y-axis, and that the figures are changing, which shows you that the y-axis is functioning. Right, the cutter's now approaching the end of its cut, where it will break through the end here, and then it will fast traverse back to its start position. It's now going to fast traverse back to its start position. The cutter still rotates, so that helps to clear any debris. Okay, so there we can see that we've got the full depth of cut halfway through the 20mm diameter bar.